Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to Friday's edition of Paranormal Question of the Day, 2023 style, right after the intro. All right, everybody, how you doing today? Taryn, how you doing? Welcome to the show.
How are you? How's everyone?
Yeah, we're all getting over the flu. Wife hasn't got it. Knock on wood that she doesn't get it. Excuse me. So today's topic is we're talking about dead serial killers and the paranormal. Great topic, right?
It is.
So I do have a small list. It's not a big list. We can go off the list because there's a couple that says they're still presently alive yet, which is strange.
What are they rotting away in jail?
Probably. Most likely they are.
Well, I would hope so if they're serial killers.
Yeah, you never know these days.
Hi, Tom.
Hey, Tom, how you doing? Welcome to the show. So, basically, I will put up the short list real quick here. That way you can see it. Let's see.
People make loud.
That's all right. So here's the list. There we go. And so this is like the short 10 person list I pulled up off the internet. As you can see, there's a couple that says they're still presently in jail yet. Unless they're dead and we don't know yet, and Google doesn't know yet either.
I didn't know David Berkowitz was still alive.
Yeah, I assume he's deceased, but I don't know.
So there's only like 7, 8, and 10. I don't know who they are.
I don't either. This is just something that Google has pulled up, and
now, what these dates that they died, were they all like put to death, or did they?
I think they were put to death, and then some were obviously killed in prison. Like Dahmer was killed in prison. Mm-hmm. I think Ramirez was killed in prison. But then the rest, I think, died in prison. I'll take that off there. So, but nonetheless, when it comes to locations that these people have committed their crimes and their murders and stuff like that, do you think if those places were open to conduct a paranormal investigation, do you think that we're actually putting ourselves at risk by trying to connect with these dead serial killers?
At risk meaning at risk to be
like getting hurt ourselves.
To what?
To like us getting hurt ourselves.
No, I think I'm a believer in if you're, can I say dick? A dick in life, you're going to be a dick in the thereafter. Now, I think a lot of these serial killers, and this is just my belief, okay? Mm-hmm. If they had no remorse, they're probably rotting away.
Yeah.
If there's no remorse. If they had remorse and had a chance, like we don't know what happens when we die, right? There's that in between. Some people believe, there's that in between for you to give you time to repent for your sins and this and that, which somebody like Jeffrey Dahmer, and who literally showed no remorse for the crime committed while alive, if they don't have that makeup in their brain, when it's spirit energy, how would they have that to be able to repent for their sins or even dare have a remorse? So I don't think we're putting ourselves at risk. If you invest now, if you were to invest in places where the murders had taken place,
right,
where the people that have been killed, be more of a interesting investigation because you want to know. I want to try to connect these people to see, if they are still there, and hopefully, to help them understand. I don't know how you would do that, but um, I don't like I don't like giving any glorification or any um, I don't know any what do you want to what word am I looking for?
Recognition.
Right, yeah, whatever, to people like Jeffrey Dahmer
Hmm.
and people of that sort of thing, because you think about the families
Right.
that were left behind that they killed,
Hmm.
so when people are doing documentaries and movies about these people, and who wants to see? I mean, if I was one of their family members, I wouldn't want to see that
Yeah, it'll just bring back bad memories.
for
And the
sure.
whole, the horror. What is it? The whole PSTD, is it? What?
Yeah, post
Yeah, if
traumatic
they bring
stress
that
disorder.
back to their life, you don't want that either, obviously.
You also have to
Um,
think about the people that, because I believe that some of them had survivors,
hmm.
where they've attempted to kill these people and they've survived.
Right.
Um, Also that, like, I know if I was a survivor of something like that, I would not want to be seeing like movies and, this and that, and especially that idiot. And I will go on record saying it because I believe he is the one that every time somebody passes away, he's pulling out a spirit box and, trying to communicate with those that have passed away. To me, that is exploitation
Hmm.
of of what we do and of the people that have passed away to the fullest, you
Right.
know.
Right.
Um,
I
so
mean, when you bring up like um, movies and stuff like that, I mean, they had the documentary of Jeffrey Dahmer,
right,
and that was popular on Netflix
yes,
because I kind of went more in depth as to what he all went to and the lengths that he went to keep his victims.
hmm
And my wife was the other day, she was watching The Exorcist 3, and it was noted that he made his victims watch The Exorcist 3 with him.
why?
I
Well,
don't
you know
know.
what? There's no understanding a brain like that because we don't, we're not wired. People that don't think like that aren't wired. So it's so hard to, you know, which is why like criminal psychology, forensic like that criminal psychology always interests me because you almost have to be able to understand
Hmm.
what is going on in their brain
Right.
to be in that sort of field, and you can't even wrap your brain around it.
Yeah. And I don't know if they have. Hey, how's it going? If they have Dahmer's brain, where I think they were didn't test it out as to why he was the way he was thinking.
Because he's
But
psycho,
yeah, he's
sociopath.
a psycho. I mean, it's like this you know, and it's like serial killers can appear out of nowhere and don't even know it that they were actually doing what they were doing. There's sometimes they're just so under the radar. And that's the mind blowing part of things like that. Now, like I said, I'll bring up Ed Gein. Okay, so I'm at a location that has his spirit in, and his mother has joined him in that realm. So now the problem is that what happens is we're trying to get him to speak, but his mom overtakes everything and keeps him quiet. You know, which is strange. So in a way, it's like she's actually being the aggressor instead of him.
Well, I mean, if you take that whole story from what I gather,
Hmm.
he was like a big child,
Oh yeah, I mean he
you
was
know.
fine until his mom passed away, and that's when things turned for him for the
Yeah, I
worst.
mean, I think he was on the spectrum to begin with.
Right.
He was definitely had some um, mental issues, his whole life, I think, and I mean, it's, I mean, I feel like instead of serial killers, like I know you wanted to talk about serial killers, but this subject is very, in light of it, like what happened. I just learned about a story that I never knew the Warrens were involved in. And I learned it at the Warrens Paracon about Arnie Johnson, who claims to have been possessed when he killed his landlord.
Yep.
I mean, one, I don't believe it. I'm sorry, I don't. I do think that was a very horrible thing to do to the family of who, I think they were friends. They were, because apparently they were friends and everything, and out, and they were drinking and they were doing this and that. And I think things got heated, and, he did what he did. Now he was involved. He was very, very, very involved with all of these, with trying to take care of this little boy. And this boy was supposedly possessed, and he was involved with it. He stayed with the family. He was, every time they tried to do an exorcism, he was there. So the possibility.
Hey, Lori.
If you believe in that, it's all about your belief, right? And perception. But like, if you believe that somebody can get possessed by.
It's happened to more than one people. I mean, there's actually a story with, now the writer from The Exorcist actually went through a real exorcism with somewhere out overseas, and he actually got threatened by the lady at a church that was going to come and kill him. Yeah. So that aspect, part of it now for me. And just what I believe is because of the whole Arnie Johnson stuff.
But
I think it could happen, but the thing is it all depends on what degree of possession that you're in.
Well, and it wasn't just Arnie Johnson; it was also Greg what's his name? What was his first name? DeFeo with Amityville.
Oh,
who killed his whole family, and he said,
Ron DeFeo, yeah.
Yeah, the house made him do it. Well, I believe that, for me, I believe that was an excuse.
Hey, Bill.
That was an excuse. And it's just the same, like, when they start that trend, there was a gentleman that took Ambien or something, or took some sleeping medicine, and fell asleep, woke up, killed his wife, drove to his wife's parents' house and killed them. And he actually got away. Like, they actually said that was the cause. Like, he didn't remember doing anything. He didn't remember sleepwalking. He didn't remember doing anything. But he got away with that, And I feel like once one person, because I feel like after that, 2 other people tried to claim the same thing, but they didn't get.
Probably didn't get very far, but
they did not.
I mean, it's the thing is with possession and all that stuff. Like I said, it could happen many different various ways. Both of us weren't at the location when it actually happened. So I mean, if we were, definitely we could definitely have a big hand say on what happened. But that's just never know what's going to happen.
I do think that places like that where stuff happens can probably hold some type of an energy.
Sure.
So I believe that the Amityville house probably did hold some
type
of energy. And when the Lutz family moved in, it didn't help that George Lutz was in the basement trying to conjure up demons. But, if there was anything there, and then
there's a lot of... There's a big backstory on all that stuff that happened prior to the Mohanans that bought the place, because they were the first people to live there. There's an Indian tribe that was there, and John Ketchum was, by the Salem witch trials, or Salem, was cast out of Salem and stuff. So all that has to do with that before even Amityville was even built in the 1927. So there's a lot of stuff that goes on with that location. Not just the. What's that?
Sorry, Darren. I was reading Michelle. She said, "Does anything know anything about?" So from what I know, that the people that live there now claim that the house is very quiet. Nothing paranormal has ever happened. They have never experienced anything, and also, I don't know if it's illegal, but I know you're not allowed to take pictures out front of the house. Like, you can get in trouble by the police if you are caught in front of the house taking the pictures.
I would imagine so, because it's an iconic house of things that happened. I would say they made it probably illegal for that sake. Now, the family prior to that's in there right now, I think that maybe things have happened, but they keep it quiet because they don't want anybody to know if there is even something still going on in there remotely. So they might have a weird.
That's your opinion, right?
Right. That's my opinion, and I mean, nobody knows unless we actually get inside that location. Hey, Amy, and
it won't ever happen.
Yeah, you never know. I mean,
well, not with the people that are there now.
Not with the people there, yeah. In the past, I know Nick Groff was offered like $10,000 to go investigate it. So, which
by who?
The private family prior to who's in there now. There's been so many families in there. This is like the 12th or 13th family that's moved into this building, into that house already. So, but anyhow, well, so there's other places like, okay, the prisons, all right? Look at the prisons that are around. You got Al Capone that was in some of these in the prison. Made a well-known, which was it, Eastern State Penitentiary?
Yep.
Okay, so with him being there, he was actually, he lives in Wisconsin, and a few houses that he had, that one I think is still standing, that I think you can go and investigate, but it's pretty gutted. But if you got
a house in Cherry Hill, New Jersey, and when I went to Eastern State, I actually had something happen in his cell.
Mm-hmm.
So I do believe that wherever these people are and they die there,
mm-hmm.
I believe that because they have such bad souls and such bad, like, there's nothing, I think they're the type of people where it's like, God doesn't want them, Satan doesn't want them to take over, so they just stay in that prison. They'll be in that prison cell forever. They'll be in prison forever for what they did. So investigating the prisons that these people were in might be better, like if you're trying to communicate with somebody like that, which I wouldn't want to personally. But I think you have a better chance at finding something like that in the prisons than you do in the houses.
Right.
Where they were murdered.
Right. So, I mean, you got Al Capone, like I said, Ed Gein, and then, Gacy. I mean, look at Gacy. I mean, he played a role of a clown, I believe. Was it correct?
Yes, and I hate clowns. And how many bodies he had buried right under his porch.
Exactly.
And he lived with his mother, too.
So, I mean, how many, look at Gacy, look at Gacy, they have mental issues with them, and which did a lot of the triggering. So, I mean, I've heard of the Gacy house being haunted, and I'm sure there's a couple movies out there about Gacy's house being haunted and stuff like that, which I don't think they're actually in the house itself, but, you gotta wonder if you go to that place, what's gonna happen. I mean, is he gonna push you around, or is he gonna, do something, make you run into a door or whatever? You just don't know these places if they're gonna turn around and just be god awful locations to investigate. Because
you have to remember, they didn't get their victims because they were assholes, right? They played their part.
They played their part, yeah.
People in. They brought people willingly went with some of them. I'm not saying all of them, but people willingly went with these people, you know, because they put on a charm, they put on a clown suit, you know, they were able to lure people back to their houses. So
Mm-hmm.
I think if you were to go in these houses, they're not looking at it like, you know, they're going to hurt you right away. They're still in that mind frame where, oh, hey, I
And then
want to
torture you, basically.
schmooze you. I want to schmooze you so you stick around and hang out. So later
Mm-hmm.
on, I can do whatever I want to do. You know?
Right. Yeah. So it's like a slow start to a brutal end, you know. And nowadays, like today, you got people that can be sucked in by a cell phone. You know, like, oh, look at this, look at all the cell phones I have here. You wanna, you know, I sell them for a company, blah 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 blah. They could sucker them that way. You know, it's not just candy anymore like it used to be, or ice cream. You know, so to speak. They're getting
Back then, though, too, people were, it was so, there was so innocence. There was such innocence back then. You know, you didn't think your next door neighbor was going to do anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I can't remember which one it was. It was either Jeffrey Dahmer, and I want to say it was Jeffrey Dahmer, maybe Ted Bundy. Ted Bundy, I think, was more females, but
Mm-hmm.
but there was one where a kid actually escaped,
Mm-hmm.
and the police found him walking in his underwear, blood coming from his head, right? And he could
Mm-hmm.
barely talk because he had drugged him up, but he also drilled a hole in his head.
That sounds like a Dahmer thing.
And the police, when he realized, oh, that was Dahmer. Thank you, Michelle.
That's what I thought.
But think about it, like they found him and talked to him. Dahmer caught up and said, "Oh, this is my cousin or my somebody, you know, my boyfriend," whatever he said.
Mm-hmm.
And they didn't even look into anything. They just
No, he could have got caught
it.
so easily at that point, and that's the thing. My
Right.
wife made a point. Is like he could have got caught so many times right away before he could admit all these rest of these crimes,
Right.
and he knew a way how to talk to the cops to
But
bring
do you
him back
think the
in.
cops today would just take that as
I
that,
think
you know,
today, I think that that type of case has smartened up the cops a little bit more to be more on the defensive side, saying, well, maybe we should just really look into more of this stuff, because I think now they're aware of how these people work and how they work their ways, that now they got to be crafty themselves to figure out how to catch them, you know?
well, serial killers are very
They're-
smart.
Yes, they are. I mean, look at the thing that happened in, was it Idaho? It was an MT
Oh, yeah, the guy that
in the university. It was an MT. Yeah, I mean, he killed 4 people, and they had no idea it was coming.
Yeah.
You know, and
Very
that's just the thing.
calculated. They're very calculated. They're very
Mm-hmm.
smart.
He did a thing to see how he could, if he could get away with it, because he was in there for criminal stuff.
And they're very, like I said, they're very smart. Some
Mm-hmm.
of them are geniuses.
Yeah, and it's just mind blowing of how these people can be. You know.
But that whole thing with the police and Dahmer and stuff like that, like I think back and I'm like, you know, it was so different back then. Like now, if the police saw some young kid walking down the road in his underwear with blood on his head, you know, and some guy runs up and, you know, says, "Oh no, this is my cousin," or the cops are going to be like, yeah, I don't think so, dude. We're going to check into this at least." You know, let's go down to the station. But they just let them go with it. And then even people were calling. There were people that were calling the police saying that, you know, this boy came to my door and you know, and saying there's a boy walking down the road, concerned. There was one woman that called, I think, 3 or 4 times.
Yeah.
And it never was looked into.
Right. I mean, my kid.
I think the same thing, Michelle. That poor kid, you know, like he was almost out of there. And if they would have looked into it, they would have
got him.
So many more people.
Oh yeah.
They would have at least gone back to the house with them. You
Right.
know, like taken them back to the house and said, let's check some stuff out.
Mm-hmm. You know, the scary part is that, you know, My child, she goes to college down there where the
Hold on a second. Hold on, they're calling me. Hold on. I will be right back. I'm
All right.
sorry.
No, that's fine.
Okay, hold on.
So basically, the Ambassador Inn is actually close to where my kid goes to school. And I personally think that he has killed one person, Dahmer, this is Dahmer now, killed one person in that Ambassador Inn. So I'm kind of curious as if that would be haunted or not, with his presence being there. If you think that, if you go to the apartment that he was at that point in time, I think they were apartments instead of an actual hotel. If you go investigate that, what you're going to find. I mean, how weird of an investigation could that potentially get? And, where would you find yourself? Would you find yourself something being thrown at you? And this is going back to what we're talking about as being part of the paranormal field. And you investigate these locations that these serial killers have been, and what's the potential outcome of some of these places, It would be interesting, but, in some ways, if it gets into gross detail, that's something that I don't want to know when you do an EVP session, that type of deal. It's just one of those things that I'm not a big fan of the Dahmer case to begin with. I did not watch the series on Netflix. My wife watched it, and that was just something I refused to watch because I just didn't want to know all the gory details of what he all did with his patients. I'm sorry, with his people that he murdered and all that stuff. It's just something I just didn't. I didn't care for, and like I said, the location that I go to has Ed Gein and his mom there, but in this aspect of this location, he's in Winchester. Oh yeah, I believe that. Wow, it's crazy. That is true. That is true. You can go to a park and pick up a whole bunch of stuff. I agree with that. It just all depends on the right kind of day, and it's not so windy outside. I think so too. Well, yeah, I'm sure it got really boring because of the details that were all involved in it. But it's one of those things that I just I don't know. Those are things I just don't care for too much, you know. Yeah, I mean, and you're right. It does give you the heebie-jeebies because of what they did and what extent they went, and he saved some of these parts of his victims and stuff in jars. I mean, that's nuts. That's crazy, you know. And when you start doing stuff like that, and let's say they don't take any of that stuff out. Well, granted, the place where he stayed is torn down now, so you can't even investigate the building, but I'm sure the area of where it was, I'm sure you could. If they happen to build another building on top of that lot, now you gotta start wondering, okay, maybe there's something in that building, you know, because it does linger. That type of thing lingers in the area of what happened because it's such a traumatic thing that happened that I don't think it doesn't even matter. If you build a new building on top of what it was, you're still going to get stuff, I think. Yeah, that's true. I mean, there's people that I know that are really interested in the Ed Gein story, for instance. Some live out in Virginia, and then there's a friend of mine that lives in Illinois. They just get so caught up and interested in these stories, and some start, get weird about it, and sometimes that's not a good thing. When you get weird about something like that, and then go and investigate it, who knows what that brings out in the person that is investigating the location? How weird is that person going to get? I mean, I had my own weirdness that happened when I was in the jail cell. When I held his knife, I got weird and didn't know about it. I was in a different kind of zone, and my wife was in the cell, and she got actually choked by Augusta. So there's so many different things that can happen. Like I said, in that instance, it's almost like she's more the aggressor, the attacker, than he is. I mean, I'm sure that he's, with his mindset of things, he can manipulate your mind in a way, because he was smart in a lot of different ways, but he also had a mental aspect of him in himself. Just like Gacy. So that's kind of the brief thing with Ed Gein. Now, here's another thing. What about Charles Manson? He did a lot of horrible things, but he manipulated his followers to do what his bidding was, and he ended up getting in jail for it. But you can see throughout the years of how crazy that guy was in jail. I mean, the mental state that he was in, and where he committed his crimes. You gotta wonder how bad that place is. What are you walking yourself into? I'm sure there was a lot of satanic rituals going on in that house that he committed the murders in, and all that stuff. And just imagine his jail cell. How weird his jail cell was. I mean, if you can investigate his jail cell, what type of EVPs are you going to get out of it? Are you going to be physically harmed in that jail cell? Do you think he casts a spell in that jail cell to taint it for the next person that goes in there? You just don't know about things, and that's why I wanted to bring this up today. And I know it's not a very popular discussion about serial killers, and I know it probably is bringing a lot of bad memories to people when we talk about these things, but you gotta start thinking about it when you go on your paranormal investigations and you're in a location that a serial killer was held in or committed the murders in. You gotta take extra precaution, because you just don't know what's gonna happen. It may change the location itself. From day to day, it could be something different. And that's kind of the reason why I brought this up, and just wanted to know how you guys felt about it, and your views on serial killers, and if you investigate locations, what would be your tactic or train of thought when you go into these places? What would be a trigger object? That's the thing. What would you bring for a trigger object if you go to Al Capone's cell, or if you go to, let's say, the Ambassador Inn where Dahmer killed one of his victims? What would you bring? That's the thing. A lot of these places go off of trigger objects, more so than you think. Yeah, absolutely. I would think so too. I mean, now, Lori, correct me if I'm wrong. Didn't that place burn down? And even though if it burnt down, that land is still tainted from what all happened there. Yeah, that's what I thought. And the thing is I remember watching all that take place in high school. We had a TV in our room, and the teacher would put it on. We're watching it burn down. So yeah, you guys start thinking about the land, everything that happened on that land. And I think a few of them started committing suicide in that building before even the building was even burnt to the ground. They had in their mind that they were going to just start killing each other off, because they knew they weren't going to get out alive in that place. But so it's crazy how different events bring up memories of where you were when you watch it and when it happened. Same thing with the Discovery space shuttle when that blew up. I mean, I think I was in grade school when that happened. I could be wrong. I'm not sure what year that happened though. But yeah, I've seen something like that happen on TV, and it just blows your mind. I know I was at work when the Twin Towers got torn down, that morning. Just crazy stuff. But you also gotta wonder too. Yeah, I was probably in grade school when that happened. Then probably 6th or 7th grade. But I mean, like Ground Zero where the towers were. I wonder if somebody walks around there with a digital voice recorder, and because you had these people jump out of windows. What kind of EVPs are you going to catch then? Because they jumped to her death before the building collapsed. So there's a lot of things that with buildings that happen, serious situations, especially with serial killers. That's why I brought up today's discussion about serial killers. I mean, how many of you in here, and I know Lori, so we talk about that a lot when we go investigate the museum. And how many of you here have gone to a location that a serial killer has been, and have you investigated any of those? I mean, it doesn't have to be to the list that I put on, so to speak, but it could be any serial killer that comes to mind that you've been to their location and have investigated. And if so, what kind of result did you get out of it? Did you have anything funky happen? Did you have anything go on that made you stay a little bit longer because you're getting more stuff? Because that's what it is at the museum for me. It's because each time you go, it's different. I know there's a lot of people say, "Oh, well, you go investigate a place so many times, you can always get so many different. You can, the outcome can be the same every time you go there." Not necessarily. It would be different if you would investigate every day. Say like 28 Days Haunted, that show. Okay, they were at a location for 28 days. They investigate the location for 28 days. And as an end result, you saw what some of these locations got and how bad that they turn out to be after those 28 days. Hey, Scott, how you doing? Yeah, Augusta does not like me. That is for damn sure. Hey, Tom. That's awesome. It's yeah. I mean, I think the last time I was at the museum, I made headways with Augusta. I think we mended some of our differences and stuff. And of course, I try to be tactful you know. And that's the thing. When you go to these locations, you gotta be tactful as possible. You can't provoke and really push on these spirits to do stuff for you. And I know when you don't get something, you get aggravated. And it's like, damn it, I come to this location for 8 hours and I get nothing. You know, but that's paranormal investigating. That's what happens. You know, regardless what you spend on going to the location, you're not going to get something every time. But the times that you do get something, be thankful. That you do get something. Now, if it turns out to be something that's quite major that you catch, that that some people are looking. And yeah, I mean, that's the main thing, is you just gotta be respectful. Who knows? There might be a clue that you might get at some of these locations that, like the police officers didn't even get. So sometimes these places can give you a gift in the form of an EVP, and you bring it to light and say, hey, this is what I got. Now, is this helpful to the case? Is this helpful for other people that were affected by it? So you just never know when you go into these locations with the serial killers that are involved, that you might get a piece of information that the cops never got. If they, say something about what they did during the crime, or what caused them to do what they did with the crime, type deal. That's pretty amazing stuff if you can get something like that on an investigation, But also, like I said, be tactful, be wary of what you're doing, and know your limit. If they start getting agitated, like Scott said, Augusta gets agitated with me a lot. But then again, I'm fishing. That's what you do in a paranormal investigation, is you're fishing for answers. You're fishing to get them to talk. And sometimes, you never know, they'll just bite and take that bobber down and start talking. They might give you a whole book, which would be kind of cool. So, and that's the thrill of it. That's the thrill of investigating. You get something like that. But as far as all those other places like Gacy, Dahmer, some of those things are just, they're just creepy. They're just very creepy. Excuse me. But would I stop and investigate? I would. I would investigate if I could. But the thing is like I said, like Tom said, be respectful. So has anybody else has investigated in here? Michelle, have you investigated at all? I don't know if you've mentioned that you have, or if you haven't. Pardon me. Give her a minute here to see if she's still in. Okay, you just did a tour. Okay, well, hey, sometimes you never know. On a tour, things can happen on a tour. I went to Edinburgh Manor, or Edinburgh, or Edinburgh, if Mr. Armstrong is watching. I was on a tour, and we went down to the basement area, and I got touched right across the face, just on a tour. So it can happen. It definitely can happen on a tour. So if you're able, at some point, maybe take a digital voice recorder along with you, if they allow that, and whatever tour you go on, that you may not think it'd be haunted, but it might actually be. That's another thing. A lot of people think that, oh, this place, that this one on here and this one on there, and you know, it's got to be super haunted. Got to be super haunted, right? And the least place that you ever expect is a place that you go the most might be haunted. You know, so take a digital voice recorder, do a little covert investigation, and see what you get out of it. Then make sneaky pens. You know, you know, I have a pen, but it didn't work very well. But okay, so you're about 13. The boiler room, yeah, that's got a lot of stuff in there in the boiler room. I heard a lot of talking that goes in there. Ooh, see, yeah, when you get a cold spot like that and it comes shoot right through you, yeah, those things can be amazing. You know, it's, you know, you get some of that stuff a lot up in the attic at the museum. Get a lot of cold spots. Just it gets interesting. Let me tell you, it gets interesting. It goes from by your knees, you know, and you got a little child up there, and then sometimes it can get up a little higher, you know, as to like by your chest and stuff like that. So I've had it where I gotten cold bursts in my face. You know, sometimes you just, if you rewind video and see if like an orb has shot right through you, you know, those are always interesting, or shot out of you for that matter. You just don't know sometimes with those. But cold spots are cool. They are very cool when it happens. And then it's just a matter of when you take your EMF meter and see how tall and, you know, how wide base it is. It's pretty cool. You know, yeah, and that's a good thing. You know, I like, you know, and I'm glad you're in today because, you know, some things you if you have questions on investigating, you know, this channel is here to help people out that have that want to know what to do with some stuff and some equipment. You know, what to look for. Yeah, that'd be pretty cool. Hopefully that the Queen Mary is open. I heard it shut down, so hopefully it's back up and running again. Now the Winchester Mansion, that's a whole different kind of animal right there. I mean, I don't know if you watch Destination Fear or not, but they had a funky time in there. What they did though in that portion is they didn't have flashlights. That's the dumb part. You gotta have flashlights in places like that. I mean, yeah, you want to prove how tough you are without using a flashlight, but come on, you're gonna get yourself hurt. Nonetheless, in that place, one wrong turn, you can get yourself killed. But yeah, that's an interesting house. I actually have a friend that lives out in San Diego. I believe that's in San Diego, I think. But yeah, if you have any questions about equipment-wise, Michelle, or how to use something, or how to go about different investigations with something, that's what we're here for with this show. I mean, the show is geared to the audience, and you guys are the star of the show. I know I say this countless times, but it is true. You guys are the star of the show. That's what makes up the show. So, other than that, yeah, like I said, it was a brief talk today. This is the first 2023 show of the Paranormal Question of the Day. Oh, it's in San Francisco. Okay. I thought it was in San Diego. My bad. Or is that the Queen Mary? I can't think now. Now I'm mixed up the two. And that will happen. That will happen. I thought one was in San Diego and one... let's see. Winchester's in San Francisco. Okay. Okay. So then the Queen Mary must be in San Diego then. because I know there's something in San Diego. But anyhow, I mean, do you guys have any more thoughts on serial killers and the paranormal? I know it was a kind of a short talk today about it. We can do it again with different people on the list or whatnot. Or if you want to talk more about this subject, we can do so. I just had to do some more research on it. Okay. Yeah. Last time I heard it, they were shutting it down. I'm not sure if it was because the body of the ship was deteriorating or whatnot. There was something going on that they had to shut it down. Who knows? Maybe they just weren't getting any more attention to it that they decided to shut it down. For all I know. And that's a shame if some haunted locations do that. They shut down because they're not getting the attention that they need sometimes. But it's also it's a refresh for the place too. If you shut down for a little bit, let the spirits calm down. And like in COVID times when nobody was going anywhere. You just got to wonder how crazy the spirits were going when nobody was in there investigating. So maybe just shut it down for a little bit and let the Queen Mary revamp itself. And I'm sure that's the same at the museum that I investigate at. You shut it down and they're closed most days and by appointment only and does that revamp the spirits? Does it say, hey, we got a break here? Now when the next person comes in, what can we do to get their attention? Let's stir some new stuff up. So, and that's why every time I go there, it's always a different feel. And that's a good thing. I feel that you can never investigate a place too much. I think it's not enough. And that's just my opinion. And, it's close to me, and that's why I like going there a lot because it's close by. And, so if you are in the area in Wautoma, we have the Washoe County Historical Museum there. And if you would like to investigate the location, please leave me a message on my phone. Gettysburg is different. Yep, haven't been out there yet. I've seen a lot of stuff about Gettysburg. A lot of stuff. Like I was saying before, if you're in the area, want to investigate the Washoe County Historical Museum, just get a hold of me on Messenger, or you can, I believe my business card is on my page. Midwest Ghost Seekers. So if you want to investigate that location, just let me know or shoot me a message on Messenger and I can get right back at you and get you all set up with that. So, but other than that, that's pretty much it I had to talk about on serial killers. Like I said, if we want to delve into more of that type of thing, I'll have to do some more digging and find some different people that were not on the list. I mean, I'm sure there's a lot more than what was on that list. That was just the top 10 that Google has pulled up for me that I went off of. So, but other than that, tonight, be on the lookout for Raven Rose Paranormal. I will be on there at 8 o'clock with Cynthia Gerodius. We'll be talking with Rob Demarest from Ghost Hunters International, Haunting Australia, and he also has a podcast show that he does as well, which at the time when I can't remember what the name of it is, but stay tuned for that. That'll be at 8 o'clock Central Time. It's always going to be a blast to do that and get the Freaky Squeaky show going again for 2023. And so what a way to kick it off with Rob Demarest. And let's see, Monday I have the Paranormal Question Day at 8 o'clock we'll be talking with Nick Simons from 28 Days Haunted. He'll be on the program, and that will be a fun show. So have your 28 Days Haunted questions ready, and other stuff that you would like to talk to Nick with about. They also are part of Ghost Crier. Him and Aaron G. Thompson is part of Ghost Crier. And then Friday the 13th, I'll have Sarah Jo Galvin on, and we'll be talking about the mental facility that she works for and her paranormal experiences that she has had in that place and other places that she has been, because she was just recently at the McIntyre Villa in Edgerton, Kansas. So that will be fun to talk about. And then, let's see, the 16th, we have tentatively Denise Flood on. And we'll be talking about her latest investigations that she's been on. And probably talking about gear as well. And at some point, Nick Millay was supposed to be on today, but had some family stuff come up. So I will get him on as a full interview with him. He's a very interesting guy. He does shows on BB3 TV as well. He does ghost stories. That's one of his mainstays of his ghost stories that he likes to talk about. So have a look at Nick Millay on BB3 TV. Super nice guy. Super nice guy. So with that, remember, you guys have been watching the Paranormal Brew and the BB3 TV networks. Also on the MGS Paranormal Midwest Ghost Seekers Facebook page as well. And if you don't have Facebook and you want to go on the YouTube channel, check us out at MGS Paranormal on YouTube. So I hope everybody has a fantastic weekend, and hopefully you guys, some of you will show up tonight at tonight's show at 8 o'clock. If not, that's okay. If you're new to the stuff, that's all right. I get it. Hey, Tom. Thanks, Tom. I appreciate it. Yeah, so just join in to Raven Rose Paranormal. Just go to their webpage or Facebook page, and the show will be on there, and you'll be able to catch that. And with that, I bid you all adieu. Taryn says goodbye. She's at a car dealership there. That's why she hasn't been back. So, with that, I bid you adieu. Have a terrific weekend. And so long, everybody.